So at this point, we could say that overseas basketball players have had a major impact on American basketball for a really long time now. Each NBA team seems to have a few overseas players on their roster, and some would argue that their impact is greater than their American counterparts. Giannis and the Joker each have MVPs and championships. Joel Embiid has an MVP. Luka is one of the most dominant players in the sport. It wasn't that long ago that when Dirk Nowitzki beat LeBron and the Heat for the chip, and Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan led the Spurs to their dominant run of championships. Pau Gasol was Kobe's right-hand man for 2 championships with the Lakers. His brother Mark was a former NBA Defensive Player of the Year, 1 championship with the Raptors in 2019. Mostly all of these players mentioned were European, but remember that Hakeem Olajuwon imported from Nigeria and eventually won 2 championships with the Houston Rockets. Also, by the way, of Africa was the late, great Dikembe Mutombo, the fear from Zaire. Jumbo Mutombo was a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. There are too many names to mention when talking about players from Europe and Africa: Arvydas Sabonis, Sarunas Marciulionis, Luol Deng, Manute Bol. The list goes on and on and on. Yao Ming was probably the biggest export from China to the NBA, and his impact was monumental. But what about the continent of Australia? That's interesting, the continent of Australia. Former #1 pick Ben Simmons is probably the first to come to mind. Good players that are still in the league like Patty Mills, Joe Ingles. Also a couple young players who are really making their mark. Josh Giddey from the Bulls, Dyson Daniels from the Atlanta Hawks, both Australian. Andrew Bogut was a former #1 overall pick. He was a good player for a long time. Before that was 7'4" Luke Longley, who won a few championships himself with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. But you can't talk Australian basketball without mentioning the best player in the history of the continent, the Michael Jordan from Down Under, the most dominant player that the Aussie Basketball League has ever seen. His name is Andrew Gaze. As an 18-year-old, Andrew Gaze joined the Melbourne Tigers of the NBL, which is the National Basketball League of Australia, and he was incredibly impactful right away. 29 points per game, NBL Rookie of the Year. By 1987, he was already a 2-time first-team All-NBL selection and set the NBL record by averaging a ridiculous 44 points a game. He had 5 games where he scored over 50 and also dropped 60 in a win versus Newcastle. Gaze was not a terrific athlete. He was not a 7-footer. He was 6'7" wing player, not incredibly quick, not a great leaper, but he could shoot the lights out of the gym. Andrew Gaze was one of the best pure shooters that the game of basketball has ever seen, no doubt. While playing for the Australian national team in the 1988 Olympics, Andrew Gaze was getting a lot of attention for scouts and talent evaluators from all over the world. But it was the head coach for the Seton Hall Pirates, PJ Carlissimo, that eventually won over Andrew Gaze and convinced him to move from Melbourne, Australia, to the sleepy village of South Orange, New Jersey, to play in the Big East Conference for your Seton Hall Pirates. Gaze joined a Pirates team led by seniors Ramon Ramos, John Morton, and my guy Gerald Green in a very competitive Big East Conference. You have to remember that the Big East Conference in 1989 was absolutely stacked with some of the best teams in the country: Georgetown, Syracuse, Villanova, St. John's, UConn, Providence, Pittsburgh. In the Big East tournament, Charles Smith, Alonzo Mourning, and #2 ranked Georgetown defeated #7 ranked Syracuse, led by Sherman Douglas, to take the crown and the #1 seed in the dance. Seton Hall finished in the semifinal of the Big East tournament. They had a very good regular season. They finished 31-7. They were ranked #11 in the country, and they were ready to make a run in the NCAA tournament. Their first big upset was when they knocked off 8th-ranked Indiana in the regional semifinals. Then Andrew Gaze dropped 19 points as Seton Hall stunned UNLV 84-61 to make its first Final Four appearance in the school's history. But there wasn't much time to celebrate. National powerhouse Duke University was waiting for them in the national semifinals. But Andrew Gaze stayed hot. He dropped 20 as Duke and the Pirates won convincingly, 95-78, to reach the national championship game as students and residents flooded South Orange Avenue. Drinks at Bunny's, baby. Seton Hall's going to the national championship. But meanwhile, there was a quiet storm brewing in the state of Michigan. Steve Fisher took over as head coach of the Michigan Wolverines after Bill Frieder was let go before the season. He took over a veteran team that was led by upperclassmen Terry Mills, Roy Vaught, Ramil Robinson, and one of the best players in the country from Flint, Michigan, the 6'7" scoring machine, the unguardable Glen Rice. Rice went on to average nearly 26 points per game for Michigan as a senior, while shooting a ridiculous 58% from the field and 52% from three-point range. And he led Michigan to a 30-7 regular season and the number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. And now he is going up against Andrew Gaze and Seton Hall University in the national championship game. And I was really excited. And I remember as a young kid telling my father, this is amazing for South Orange, for Seton Hall, for New Jersey, and Andrew Gaze is going to light it up. And my father told me there's only one problem. Andrew Gaze can't guard Glen Rice. Nobody can. And that proved to be the case. Glen Rice lit up Andrew Gaze and Seton Hall. It was a no contest. You can see the highlights of Gaze running around screens, trying to guard Glen Rice. Everywhere Glen Rice went with the ball, he was putting it in the hoop. He was a problem for Seton Hall as he was for everybody else in the nation that year. But the game was mostly remembered by the phantom foul by Gerald Green on Ramil Robinson. He never touched him. Ramil Robinson was awarded 2 free throws. He sank the free throws and won the game. Michigan was the national champs. Glen Rice was the most outstanding player. And we got the ticket to that. So I got a chance to meet Glen Rice, and it was at a show, and I told him that story that about me and my father, and how my father told me that there's no way that Andrew Gaze could guard Glen Rice, and this is Glen Rice's response to that. It's pretty funny.
How you doing?
Hey, good. How you doing, brother?
I'm from South Orange, New Jersey. So
Okay,
what my father said when Michigan played Seton Hall is there's a problem because Andrew Gaze can't guard Glen Rice.
At all.
And he couldn't do it.
And he couldn't stand up to that shooting I was putting on him, too.
A clinic, right? A clinic.
But I love Mr. Gaze.
Yeah. So a black, please. So I would love for you to write in honor of my father, who's no longer with us, Andrew Gaze can't guard me, and then sign it, and then 1989 tourney MOP.
We probably need a smaller.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah.
John, the way should they age it out?
Out to the back.
Yes.
If you got a thin tip black, that would be great.
You don't have a thin tip black. Hey, go get a black.
Yes. See if we're gonna work on getting a thin tip.
Stand right over there for
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, we got the thin tip black.
All right, now did you look up how you spell Andrew's name?
Yeah, ANDREW. Yep.
All right.
GAZE.
Now, what did you want me to say?
Andrew Gaze can't guard me.
He damn sure could.
And then you just sign it right there. And then 1989 tourney MVP, MOP.
Wait just a minute.
I've got one guess that's about 10 minutes late.
89, that was what was that? Was
Get over here. Just let me
wasn't
know when you
MVP. What was it?
MOP.
Yeah.
Most outstanding player, yep. Thank you very much, Mr. Rice. Appreciate that.
So he's for Glen.
Anytime, my friend.
He's for Glen.
And you say your father's no longer with us?
No longer with us, you know.
Send a heavenly hello. All right,
do.
Pops.
I appreciate that.
Come on, man. Anytime, bro.
Thank you.
So here's the ticket once again. Glen Rice signs Andrew Gaze can't guard me. The incredible inscription on the ticket. Glen Rice, most outstanding player of the Final Four, national champion. Michigan went on to have an absolutely terrific career. Andrew Gaze is an absolute legend. He's a basketball legend, and anyone who knows the game of basketball will tell you that. And fans of Seton Hall and South Orange, New Jersey were lucky to have him.
Great run that we had the year that we put Seton Hall on the map, because a lot of people didn't know where Seton Hall was at. Everywhere we was at, people was asking, where's Seton Hall at? Where's Seton Hall at? It's just a little small town in South Orange. And they're on the map now.